This is Ronit on the East Coast.
And I'm WizCate on the West Coast. And we are
Hopelessly
unedited.
unedited. I think we got it.
Really? I can see you do this like 2 seconds before I say hopelessly.
No, I think I think we got it.
We
Close.
we still have a lag between the audio and the video. It's pretty funny. It's funny that you would say and think that we're in sync when I can tell we're not. It's so funny.
I know.
Because
Well,
you
you
see
know what?
something different than I do. So when it comes to you, it's probably in sync.
You know, when we do the in-person, we can have it the camera set to be on, on both chairs that we're sitting down, so then you can see our body language to see how hard we try to get it
I don't
synced
try
up.
very hard. You try very hard, but I don't try very hard. Anyway, hi everybody. We have listeners. We should pay attention to them.
Yeah. So we're just like yakking away. So I received some feedback on the episode where my daughter came on as our guest
Oh, you
and
did?
talking about Korea, and
Cool.
so I want to share with everyone. And this listener actually have lived in both Korea and France before, because in that clip that I posted, Kate was talking about you have to go into a store, you need to say hi to people, or else they expect you to do that. That's polite, that's manners, or else they treat you like crap, right? And my daughter said the same thing about Korea. You go in a convenience store, you say hello. When you leave, you kind of say thank you, or hey, you did a great job, you worked so hard, and things like that. So it's interesting. One of the things that this listener said, that he's lived in both places before. I'm sorry, I hope you're a he, because I couldn't tell. I didn't stalk you.
Just say they.
Or they. So they said that it's very true. And the interesting thing is about friends, because as Americans, we will walk into a store and just don't say anything to anyone and just look around and just walk right
in
out.
and get out. It's like, what?
Yeah. And then it's funny that
You're
Americans
not even there.
things,
Person
right,
at the counter, you're not even there.
Yeah, it's like, don't talk to me, don't look at me, and then if they buy something, they think that the shopkeeper treats you very rudely. In fact, you're the one that is rude, because when you're in another country, there's certain expectations for manners. So I think that this is a really good comment. I mean, I personally is offender too, because not every country that I visit, I would find out the custom before I went, and I'm sure I offended people. So so I guess we shouldn't say the French are rude if we don't have good local manners. So there's certain expectations. So I think that's a very good comment, and we all should think about it, and maybe we'll have better experience traveling internationally. So this is the comment. So with that said,
so the lesson is, when you go to a foreign country and you don't speak the language, or even if you do, you should go in there and, well, if you don't speak the language, you should learn how to say hello, thank you, good morning, or something like that.
Merci. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then goodbye, right?
Well,
I think that's what you need to do.
Some countries you probably shouldn't be too friendly. Our friend from Ukraine, she told me in Russia, they could tell you're Americans because on the train or on the streets, they would smile at you. And but the locals, they aren't like that. They just think that, what is wrong with them? Are they crazy? Are they like have mental issue? Why are they smiling at me? So I think it's a good policy to just learn the greeting and stuff like that. That's definitely and thank you, but also do a little bit of research on the expectations. Really, I mean, you don't want to get thrown in mental hospital when you're visiting the country.
Yeah. Oh, stop smiling.
Personally.
This person smiles a lot. Let's take him in.
But anyhow.
All right.
So today we're going to talk a little
To
bit about raising kids in America.
raising kids,
But
yeah.
yeah,
Well, we're gonna
so
talk. You're gonna
WizCate,
talk about it
yes,
because
but WizCate is going to ask me all the hard questions.
Ronit's gonna talk about it because she's a good mama. She is fantastic with her kids. She's raised two wonderful girls, um, and they're very successful. They're very happy, and that's what I like about success. You know, that's what I mean by success. Is that they're very happy. So she raised happy kids, happy grown ups now. You know, they're in their 30s, both of them. So sorry, Renit, you're old.
Mm,
Uh, but
I had them
so
early.
you did. It's true. You had them very young. So I think when I'm a parent too, and it's to me, what happened is that uh, when I had my boy, I was like, I'm never gonna raise him like my parents did to me, and I'm never gonna do the same things that happened to my child, to me as a child, blah blah blah. So I had all these expectations, you know. And so we want to talk a little bit about that, the gap between what we thought we were going to do and we thought what was going to happen and what actually happened. And then Renit will talk about the values that she tried to pass on to her kids, I guess, and then uh, whatever surprised her along the way and what ended up mattering the most uh, at the end. How's that for an intro?
So
Is that good enough?
it's great. But full disclosure, because you've talked about, I want to make sure I don't raise him like my parents raised me, all that. You know what? I don't have that much awareness. You I just kind of make do, just like full disclosure. You know how I am. Just,
Well,
just figure
the,
it
the,
out.
The funny thing for me is that I say I don't want to raise them like I was raised, you know, but my parents I think did a fantastic job. They
I think
raised
so
four
too. Look at
children,
you.
and they're all four of us are well established, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a different kind. Like, you know, what you look for in your kids, I think, is happiness, and what my parents look for in us was the other kind of success.
Mm.
You know, like you have a good career. There are certain things that are the expectations of parents towards their children. You know, like parents might in at some point have said, you know, I want you to be a doctor. I think in Asia they might still do this. You you want them to be a doctor, a software engineer, a lawyer, you know, some sort of like uh, profession that that is what people think is success in parenting is when you've raised them to be in those
Mm-hmm.
fields. It's so weird. But my parents had that kind of expectation. So I'm not saying that they were bad, but it's just it was different. On the contrary, you know, I love my parents very much and they
Mm-hmm.
did a fantastic job. You wanted to add something?
No, it's funny because it's just so different, the environments. Like I'm not going to talk about my father because he worked a lot because it's very common for working class in Hong Kong back when I was growing up in late 60s, early 70s. So he worked a lot. He worked 6 days a week. And sometimes when it's crunch time, I remember he had to go in half a day on Sunday as well. So I didn't see him a lot. And because I didn't see him a lot, every time I saw him, but he was just kind of happy go lucky. He's a lot like me. I gave him a nickname that he didn't know. I called him a dolphin because he always looked like he's smiling. So I'll call him a dolphins. But honestly, I actually don't. Why are you laughing? I honestly don't feel like I knew him very much. But my mother, on the other hand, was someone that stayed at home and raised us. She told me the story because she would bring stuff from factory home so that she could stay home and work. I mean, we didn't grow up have money at all, and so all of us would help her. Like these Christmas lights, you put the light bulb in the little
Mm-hmm.
slot. So that's all we did, and to help her, and so also make some money. And then my brother was really good. He's like really fast, and my mother told me, I never expect like he's successful. All of us were white collar job and all that. So
There's
we've
three of you,
established,
right?
as you said. Yeah. We're established. We're fine, all of us. But she said, I never expect that your brother would do this. Had an MBA, and she said, oh, I remember seeing him doing the Christmas lights. He was so fast, and I thought, oh, this is so great. He will be a great factory worker, and it's amazing. So just different things.
Expectations.
Expectations, different environments, right? So anyway.
So what before your first child was born, what did you
Hmm.
expect parenting to be like? What did you
Uh,
imagine? Did you think, yeah, anyway, that's my question.
um, so I was going to the Mormon church. So there's very like specific um kind of mold that what a Mormon family look like. You take your kids to church and you put really pretty dresses on them on Sunday if they're girls, and really well-groomed boy or whatnot, and then bring them to all the church activities and try to raise them according to church principle. And so it's very structured. Whether you do it all or not, you kind of have a roadmap already. So I just didn't feel like, other than feed them, change their diaper, and clothe them, I didn't think there were so much to think about because there's a very specific path
Yeah,
for
so it's very
everyone in that
structured.
church. Yeah, so I didn't have to think about that. And then, that became a challenge. It's good that you brought it up because after I stopped going to the Mormon church and they were still going to the Mormon church, it becomes a little challenging because I wanted to respect that they were still going to that church, and there was certain um philosophy of life
Hmm.
and culture that I want to instill in them, but I still want to be respectful for that. And that became a little bit challenging. I navigated, largely well, I think. I would never want to be disrespectful to anyone or any establishment or religion. So, yeah, so that's kind of like a long story short on that.
Yeah. So what? So once you had, yeah, I can see how it can be structured. Like I think the Mormon Church is very famous for having that structure around their members.
Mm-hmm.
You just bring this
Mm-hmm.
sort of community. It's a sense of community. It's very Mormon focused, obviously, but it's a nice thing to have. I think it's one of the
Yeah,
most powerful thing that
for
they're doing
children.
is,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just bringing all the kids together and offering a lot of support to the parents. So
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of really good things there. But like you said, the culture, you can do with it what you will, right? Um,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
so once you had your first child and then the second, you had two kids.
Mm-hmm.
What was the most surprising the thing that you discovered, like how exhausting it is, or how emotional it is, or how little control you really have, because the kids have all the
Yeah.
control. Like what was surprising the most for you?
So I heard people talked about it, but when I experienced it, they are completely different. Two different people. Because you would think that, oh, genetically they are make up of the same genes, they would be similar, not exactly the same, right? But their
Uh,
personality is so different. Their temperament is so different.
yeah.
And my first, she was borderline colicky. Like I barely had time to sleep, and she didn't take naps. And in fact, she would be up all day,
So that's
and at
exhausting.
night she'll wake up. It's tiring. And then I think once she could understand and she could speak, probably right before kindergarten, she still wasn't taking naps. So I basically told her a lie. I said, look, you need to take naps because if you don't take naps, you use up all your brain juice and you're not going to be smart. And then she would
Oh,
try to take naps. I did a really bad thing. Yeah, she wasn't a good napper. But the second one, oh my God, she was so good. she was so good. She naps. She only cries when she's hungry or when she's mess her pants, and that's it. And you know how you kind of, when they're newborn, you have them close to you in the bassinet or something because they wake up so much. Um, so, and then by 3, 4 months, you try to get them to, you try to put them in their crib, in their room so that they fall asleep by themselves. My first one, she was borderline colicky. She would cry and cry and cry. And I think the first day I left her in the crib, so I kind of watch her. She cried for uh, an hour. She cried herself to sleep. The second day, 45 minutes. It's like a 15 minutes increment. Finally, she slept by herself. First time, first night I put my second one in the crib, try to train her. It's like, I'm talking about, it's like puppy. Train her to go to sleep on her own. She she made this really cute gooing noise, and then she was completely quiet. And then after about 30 minutes, I thought, oh crap, is she alive? So I looked in there. She was awake. She was laying on her back and just looking at the ceiling, just turning around. So they could be so different, just even like sleeping habits. They were just very different personality, and both of them are very smart. Very, I kind of taught them you need to make sure you treat people nice, especially people that are like your mom's friend, because they are older generation. They're all aunties. You got to be nice to them. So I hope you feel like they're nice to you, because that's what they're taught.
Yeah, they've always been lovely girls to me. So,
Yeah.
did you have expectations of what parenting would be like? Like, so you say you didn't really have anything because you were in the Mormon church, but you must have had some expectations. Like, do you
So
have
I kid
any at
you not.
all?
I kid you not. I
Don't kid
so
me.
it's just like what you said a couple of episodes ago. You said that you're completely assimilated. You're American through and through, and I would say that about myself as well. And um, and you talked about you wanted to raise happy children. I would say that too. But I mean, this thing is real. Asian parents always have this thing about, oh, they should be lawyers, they should be doctors, they should be like this successful finance person. I don't think, I didn't tell them that. So all I always said to them was, education is very important. Money is good to have, but it's not so important because when you get old, education is what set you apart. You take it with you because it affects how you relate to other people and treat other people. Um, but when my oldest daughter first went to college, I mean, they both got good grades. When she first went to college, I think the first semester, she's changed her mind since, right? Because she ended up getting a PhD in communications. But first semester of college, she told me, Mom, I want to be a radiologist. Oh my God. I was so happy. I was like, oh my gosh, I've got a doctor daughter. So I'm not going to lie. I mean, this thing is in our genes that I think most parents would have that. And then another example is that, for Chinese, the stereotype is we want our children to succeed, right? Good grades and all that. My second daughter, I think first or second semester, she got her reports in college, and so, oh yeah, I got all these A's except I got this one class I got a B plus, and the first thing it's just like I word vomited. I said, why did you get a B plus?
Oops.
And then my husband heard me, and then he's like, it's a good grade, and I said, oh, it is. Oh, you got a B plus. Why did you get a B plus? It's okay to get a B plus. I changed it. So, there's some expectation. I think, even though I don't say it in my head, it's not expectation. I wish, wishful thinking that they would be. straight A students, and things like that.
Yeah. So were there things you hoped for your kids, but never really said it? Like, for instance, happiness that I talked about earlier, or
Hmm.
having stable lives, or being confident, or having some success in certain ways.
Yeah, I never really said it, but I didn't want them to take any shit from men. And then I don't think they do. I think in just the way they see me, and the when I talked about certain things, they understand that that's what I would do. And so they don't. So that's one thing. I don't know if it has anything to do with culture, because it's a very, Asia is very patriarchal society.
Yeah,
America is too, sort of, but not as obvious, I would say. I don't know,
I
France?
think
How about France?
I
Is
think
France like that?
I think the United States is very patriarchal in very many ways. It's just not because you and I both spent so much time in the Pacific Northwest. We
Mm-hmm.
uh, and we were transplants, So I think that we saw the independent, the the very free, you know, um, supportive women,
Mm-hmm.
and like anything to do with independence or diversity and things like that was very strong with what we were surrounded by. So I think that's different than what could happen in Hong Kong. I think in France it's kind of patriarchal in some ways, but women have equality,
Hmm.
and they uh, and they will say it. Of course, there's always men are stronger than women, so physically there might be some situations there where women might be scared that the man does something physically to them, but they are very solidly in general, and I'm generalizing and making stereotypes here, but I think that women are generally very independent, very strong,
Mm-hmm.
very willful.
Yeah, yeah. That's
Um,
good.
so what mattered to you the most as a new parent? We just talked about grades versus
Mhm.
your ex-husband being very kind instead, or your kids wanting independence. Like, my son, my kids, they one of them is really independent, just doesn't really call home, doesn't, occasionally will call home. It's not like he doesn't
Mhm.
love us, but he's just very independent.
Yeah.
And another one is incredibly dependent on mom, really wants to be talking to mom all the time.
Mhm.
Did you have, what mattered to you as a parent? Things like that?
So my family, my parents, my siblings, it's we have that kind of relationship. I feel like some Chinese families are very close. Our family, it's not close in the sense of the contact wise. Um, I barely, we have a family chat group on WhatsApp, and we don't really talk on the phone. And I'm sorry, sister, she's just not a very good conversationist on the phone. Like in person, I love talking to her. She's so much fun. But on the phone, she's very like short. So it is like I would be talking to her, and a few sentences, there'll be a silence because on the phone she's just not a conversationist. In person she's great. Um, my brother, he's a man of
Many
few words,
words.
more like my husband. Um, but it's whenever I go to Hong Kong, we always meet up, and it's kind of like one of those. If you say you have some friends that you move away for a while, you don't talk for a long time, like say a couple of years, and all of a sudden you meet up again and acted like it just feels like those 2 years never was there. You be close again. So my family and I in Hong Kong is kind of like that. So with the girls, what I told them was, so my home is always open to you, and what you can come home whenever you want, and no questions asked unless you want to tell me. So this is kind of my stand with them, and but ended up, because they're girls we talk, we can shut up. Well, maybe not every girl, but like this girl cannot shut up. So, my daughters, we talked a lot to each other. So we have a chat group, and we talk a lot. It's harder with Dana because she's in Korea. So I've started trying to make an effort every Sunday morning. Call her because of time difference is probably the best time to catch her. And with the older one, we talk a lot because she's just in California, and we all have this chat group. Something's always going on in the chat group every day. So even, my husband is like, why you guys just talk so much? So yeah,
Yeah.
ended
So
up this way.
you didn't have any, you actually built a culture of super closeness.
Yeah.
The one of our kids who's very independent, he wasn't raised any different than the other
Mhm.
kids, you know, it's just
Yeah,
kind
personality.
of how
Yeah.
it is, yeah. So was there a moment in parenthood, we got to talk about this, right? We talked about the good things, but I guess maybe it's still a good thing. But was there a moment in the time you were raising your kids where you realized that things were not going as planned? Like, you know,
Yeah.
uh-oh,
So,
immediately she
y-
says yes.
so I, uh, so I have girls. I don't know if you've heard when we're teenagers, we gravitate toward our father. Even even our father's an alcoholic, drug addict. Usually, you gravitate toward your father if you are a daughter. And I did not know that when they started to get to teenage years. Mom is the worst thing on the planet. I felt like this is how they felt. And I thought, what is going on? I don't think I've done anything different. Am I nagging them too much? Probably, I probably did. But another friend of mine, whom you also know, that we raised, her daughter, hang out with my daughter and all that. And she was the one that told me there's this thing. And I said, really? So what do I do? And then she said, you can't do anything. Just don't do anything. Let them come to you. You just can't force it. That's what she told me. And so I implemented this policy. If I needed to school them, tell them something, I would first say, give me 50 seconds. Don't say anything. I would say something for 50 seconds, 50, and then I'm going to walk away. Because I feel like I still have the responsibility if I see that they do something or I need to teach them something about life or they do something that is unbecoming, I still need to say it. So what I would do is I would rehearse this thing that make sure it's under 50 seconds. And then I'll say, give me 50 seconds. I'll say it. And then I say, okay.
Wow,
And I just walk away.
that's a lot of process. I
Yeah, because
kind
I
of work,
can't.
I kind of work differently. I'm kind of like, you know, I do my interactions with
Mm,
my kids very as me, you know, like I'll just let it
hmm.
out.
Yeah.
It's just how it is, you know. So I never rehearsed it, just but I did learn to walk away. I did learn
Mm,
that it was a good thing to stop, shut up and move on, you know, like and then get
yeah.
back to it later or whatever. But I'm not very good at it still now, so
Well, I think teenager is difficult, more difficult because all these hormones going on, teenage girls. I still remember taking my younger daughter to get her driver's permit. So the lady at the license place say, "Is she on any medication?" I said, "No." "Does she have any known mental issue or something?" Said that, and I said to her, "Is being a teenager consider a mental illness?" And she just started laughing so hard. And she's like, "Oh my gosh, this is so funny." And I said, "You've never, like, nobody ever said that before. I am so surprised." I mean, teenagers are almost like, I feel like they're crazy. It's like, I was a teenager. Once I thought back, I was like, oh my gosh, how did my parents stand me? Why didn't they kick me out?
I think the hormones create a whole situation that makes you prone to drama. Like you get into some situation with your friends at school or whatever, or your parents,
Mhm.
and it becomes a big thing. It
Yeah.
could be so simple and so easy,
Right.
but it is massive. And understanding how the other person feels is very difficult. I think some people never get into it. They never understand. They just go like, you should, you know, why is it so important to you when it's not important to me? And I think for teenagers, like everything is more important, and we don't know what that thing is that is the most important. It just
Well,
kind of
it
catches
makes,
us by surprise.
yeah, it makes them very self-centered. It's not in a bad way. It's just like their brain is so tunnel vision on themselves
Yeah,
and on once. And then I think the problem is once you're so tunnel vision on yourself, you feel like you know everything. You are the truth. Whatever other people say or do, they're just stupid. I think that it makes it worse.
yeah. But in the vein of that, was there something during your kids' youth, including teenage years and whatnot, and even now, I guess, that you worried about that turned out okay or not to matter much at all?
Um,
Did you
because
worry that your one of them was too opinionated, and then that or had some habit,
yeah.
or they reached a
Um,
certain milestone, like 15 years old or 20 or 30, and things that felt massive at the time?
well, again, as you said, I think that the structure created by the Mormon Church are great, and it really helps them. They never got in any
Yeah,
trouble. That it's just amazing, but also there's this um the sexual oppression thing. A lot of young Mormons get married when they're very young, and reason is you cannot have sex unless you're married. I did worry that they got married really young and have kids really super young and, locked into something that, I mean, I'm not saying that, if it didn't work out, it's always the guy's fault. But when both people are so young, it is just, you don't have experience to know yourself and,
yeah,
choose the right partner. But fortunately, so they weren't 18. My older daughter's married, but she wasn't 18 or 19. I was worrying about 18, 19. Like as soon as they get out of high school, first semester of college, they get engaged and get married. So, she was in her 20s, and my son-in-law is just like the nicest person. I think you met him, right? Didn't
yeah,
you?
yeah.
Yeah,
We
he's
had
just the
lunch in
nicest
Seattle.
person. Yeah, I told him that he's my favorite son-in-law, even though I only
Well,
have
yeah,
one
you only have
son-in-law.
one.
Yeah, he's my favorite.
So conversely, we just talked about the things that were big. What about little things that ended up meaning a lot? So like, having little daily routines. So, for instance, putting your kids to bed, reading a story, things like that. Do you know if they remember little things that ended up meaning a lot to them? Maybe some conversations you had or some, traditions, so like on certain days you would do certain things.
Well, I think I talked about it in one of the episodes. I think it was when we talked about books. Perhaps that when they were, because they would fight with each other when they're when the younger one was a toddler and the older one was just a couple years older than her. And what I would do is I would tell them nighttime story about two little lambs. One is called Meme and one is called Bebe, and their mission is to go get strawberries for mommy, and so mommy can make the strawberry pies. So every day when they fight, I would try to look at the things that they fought about, and I would make up this story. So this little two little lammy would fight about a similar thing, and it took them a couple months to figure out that I was talking about them. Because in the story, I also say, well, that's just not good to fight about things like that. It's just silly, just kind of teach them a lesson and stuff like that. And they remember that, Meme and Bebe. So we don't talk about it a lot, but I think this is something that it's very nice for all three of us.
Yeah. I wonder, for me, for instance, on Sundays, I'd turn on NPR and listen to Wait, Wait, Don't
Mm.
Tell Me and This American Life, and then to
Uh-huh.
just kind of sit there and have breakfast. And that was kind of our Sunday thing. And then go somewhere, do like a hike or whatever. So we had some little traditions that ended up meaning a lot, like we didn't really want to miss on those
Yeah.
things. Um,
Yeah.
but were there like
Agree.
any traditions, speaking of that, or values that you grew up with, or that you have that you wanted to pass on to your kids for sure?
They would never waste food. I think Dana talks about I'm kind of pretty much wouldn't let her leave the table when she was just a toddler and have one light shining on her until she finished her dinner. Neither of the girls would waste food. They're good eaters. They cook. They would eat their food, and because that's how I grew up. That as I said, working class family. My mom didn't want me to waste food, and I mean, it's so political incorrect that there's starving children in certain countries, and my mom did say that too to me, and we just don't waste any food, and I don't want my kids to waste food. Um, I oh, and then one thing, eating chicken. We love fried chicken, and we would clean all the meat and everything off the chicken. You see a bare bone. And another thing is that I always just take two fingers to hold it, and I see people like grab chicken, they would do this. I will always do two fingers, and so would they. And I think at I forgot, somebody asked me why I only use two fingers, and I said, oh, because I don't want to get the other fingers dirty. So I think that's what the girls tell people when they're asked. It's like, why are you just using two fingers? Two is enough to grab a hold of it, and you don't have to get your whole hand dirty.
So you passed
Yeah, so
on
this
quite
pass
a
on
bit.
small things. It's not like I have big value that I pass on to them, but be kind, of course. Always be kind to people and be helpful. Service other people if they're in need and things like that.
Yeah, that's good. That's really nice. How about my
Yeah,
last question? Because I think we're probably close to time, and then I got to do a lightning round with you.
yeah.
What we were talking about independence versus staying close. So how did you teach them? Because when kids grow up, right, they're on the playground and they're hanging out with their friends and whatnot, and then they're like, "Mom, mom, 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 mom." So they depend on you to give them feedback
Hmm.
for so long
Yeah.
about everything, right? And so you have to be so engaged in their lives because that makes them feel like they're doing the right thing, like it develops their confidence and things like that. So, how did you teach them independence versus staying too close to you
Well, a couple of things. Actually,
while
it's a
staying
little
involved? Sorry.
yeah. It's a little difficult because I grew up. y- I think in France, I read somewhere. I don't know if it's true, saying that they use these free range parenting, let the kids kind of go off and do their own thing because it was safe. In Hong
Yeah.
Kong, it's the same way because I think by the time it's very common when I was growing up, 10 or 11, you can take public transit. You can go places on your own and during the day, and it's fine. Uh, I was on my own, and I would be home alone when my mom was working. I think I was probably third grade. I come back and I'll go to the neighbors. My mom would pay my neighbors to make lunch for me. I'll eat there and I'll go back to my apartment and I'll do my homework and stuff. So I was like that ever since I was little. And when I came here, I see all these parents would do this group. I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know what to do. Like, I was like, why can't the kids just kind of learn how to play, it's important I feel like it's important they learn how to entertain themselves. I mean, I didn't even have TV. So, but I don't want them to feel different because they have peers. I don't want them to feel like they have less. Whenever I need to be involved, going to their concert, take volunteer for a field trip, I will always do it. But there are things that I do expect them to be independent. For example, their allowance. I taught them that, okay, you get this much money. I'll give them all dollar bills. I'm making out maybe it's $20 a month. I'll have different envelopes. One is for birthday party gifts. One is for candy. One is for saving or something. So I would make divide the dollar bill and put them in different envelopes. And this is how, kind of teach them that they need to learn how to budget things, and it's all cash, right? So things like that, it kind of teach them how to be independent, learning things, you know.
So I guess I lied. I have a couple more questions. What, you've done I think, a really great job with your kids, but what do you think is, um, what are you the most uh, proud of, I guess, as a parent that you've taught your
Proud of them
kids? Yeah,
that
well,
I taught them.
yeah. Or not necessarily that you taught them, but what are you the most proud of as a parent?
You know, I mean, I do that myself, and I'm very proud that I see them do that. They are very nice to service people. Like McDonald's, somebody works at McDonald's, custodian,
Yeah.
they're always very nice to them. Because it's important to me that people that do these services, they work really hard, just trying to make a living. I I don't think it's also right to just hand out money, and you shouldn't because they're not begging money. But I think we need to appreciate them and be really kind to them, and because they do things that nobody wants to
So
do. Like,
you you taught them that, and your kids do that, and that's the thing you're the most
mhm,
proud of.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
great.
to be
So
nice to people.
last question that kind of goes hand in hand with this. If you could go back,
Hmm.
is what small thing, you know, whatever, would you do a little differently?
Um, I think I would just because being a Chinese parent, I I think compared to American parents, I don't tell them, "Oh, you did such a good job." I would say it 25% of the time compared to American parents that they would say 100, I would say 25. I wish that I would, up that a little bit, maybe 50, because I personally don't think that everyone is a winner, and it's okay to lose sometimes. And I think losing is where it teaches you something. But I think I could have given a little bit more encouragement, you know? So yeah, that's what I would change.
That's nice. For me, it'd probably be more present. Because when I favored my work often, because
Mm,
I was raised to like make sure that my career was really good. So I spent a lot of time at work, and If I were to change things, I would change that and go like, well, fuck it, I'm not working today. It's Saturday, I'm not doing this. Or it's 8 p.m. I got other things to do than sit at my computer and do more work. So I think I would
You know,
to be more
to your,
present with that.
to your defense, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to
And
say
yeah.
to work. So,
I know it's hard, but it's not that hard. It's a decision that you make, as a person. You go like, okay, what's more important? And I favored work too often. And I would change that. But that's me. So that brings us to a close. If you want, we can do lightning round or you can have some closing words before we do lightning
let's
round, or you
let's
can do closing
lightning.
words after. Okay.
Let's do lightning.
All right. You sure? Because you spoke a
Yeah,
lot. Okay.
yeah. Let's do lightning.
Uh, One word for parenting.
Hang. Oh wait, that's 3 words.
Well, you can be three
Can I do
words.
3 words?
Yeah.
Hang in there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Strict or relaxed
Like for me,
as a parent.
uh, in the middle.
Early bedtime or flexible bedtime.
Early black bedtime.
Homework first or play first.
Homework. I'm so Chinese.
One thing you said you'd never do as a parent, but you did.
Spanking. I spanked once. Big whack.
One thing you touched on this already, but yeah, one thing you're glad you did.
Walked away when they were teenager.
Most used phrase as a parent.
No.
A rule that you did not enforce. You had a rule and you just didn't enforce it.
Clean up your toys.
Yeah. A moment that made you laugh out loud. You can do one for both your girls or one for each of your girls.
So there's one, I think I talked about that too, that because my kids, I didn't teach them Chinese when they were little. Long story. I just didn't. So when we were in Hong Kong, one time they were still little and a lot of people were smoking. And my oldest one had a hard time smelling that. So she asked me how to say smoking will kill you in Cantonese. So she was going to go up and tell that man.
Wow.
And I taught her, I think she was, I don't know, maybe 12 or 11, something like that. And I taught her
Wow.
how to say that. And I said, okay, so I taught her in parts. And I said, okay, put it together. And instead of smoking will kill you, she said, eating poop will kill you.
That
And then
might.
we just started laughing. We're like in the middle of Hong Kong. We just laughed. Everybody looked at us and was like, why are you laughing? And then I just laughed so hard. And then the
That's so
younger one's
funny.
like, what did she just say? And I told them. And then I said, well, she's not wrong. So,
All right. And let's finish on your advice in 5 words or less for new parents or parents.
just hang in there. If you love them, they'll be okay.
Well, that's it for me. I've said all the things I was going to say for today. I mean, in that
Yay.
context anyway. So
Awesome.
I
With
think,
that said,
did you have any closing words or?
no, I think we had a good chat today. And I hope, our listeners, viewers enjoy listening to my chaotic parenting story and the wise and structured format provided by WizCate. I don't know what to do without her.
I think I would like our listeners to get back to us and give us, funny parenting stories that they had
Oh yeah,
or
yeah.
catastrophes, but I mean, I hope it like catastrophes in the sense that nobody got hurt, but your kid went to the school play and forgot their costume, that kind of catastrophe.
Yeah.
I think that would be really cool to hear from the listeners.
See, I'm telling you, I don't know what to do without you. You're the structural ones. You always remember these important things, and I totally forget all the time.
Yeah, but you're way more fun than I am, so that works.
No, I'm not.
All right. So
Anyway,
we are done, I think, for today.
yeah. So I'm
Thanks
Ronit
for
on the East
chatting.
Coast.
Thanks for
Yeah,
thanks for telling us all the things.
of
I
course.
appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah,
So you're Ronit.
yeah. On the East Coast.
All right. And I'm WizCate on the West Coast, and I'll be seeing you.
Yeah, and
Thanks,
we are
everybody. Hopelessly
unedited.
unedited.
Oh my God.
Bye,
All right,
everyone.
bye.